It's time for Silver Linings with Greg Neal, physical gold and silver expert and wholesale supplier, answering your questions about how and where to store your hard-earned money with a rational sense of peace in troubled times.
And this is Greg, and boy, am I on one today. The last couple days, the Senate and the House has been hammering on Mr. Stamp, the CEO and chief executive of Wells Fargo Bank. And boy, I am so excited. I've never, ever liked Elizabeth Warren until what I saw her grilling this guy and tearing him to shreds. She was the only one that actually really did take this guy to task for what he's created. I'll tell you what, those of you that have Wells Fargo accounts, I'd be taking a real close look at what you're getting from doing banking with Wells Fargo Bank right now. And, it's really, truly a criminal situation that's been created by basically a culture, which is a top-down kind of mentality. I mean, you got a CEO. He's not only the CEO, but he's also the chairman of the board, which is quite strange in a business relationship where he's also chairman. It means he has basically ultimate power. It's rather interesting. I would challenge all of you to go to your email or your web accounts and take a look and just see this. Particularly what Warren did, Elizabeth Warren. I got to give her kudos. I haven't liked her very much, as far as her politics are concerned, but I loved what she did with this guy and took him to task and basically. He's been taken out to lunch big time. I mean, he's just been hammered. If this guy doesn't resign within the next, 24 to 48 hours, or if his board doesn't grow some cojones and actually fire this guy, Wells Fargo is in serious trouble with what they've done here. They fired 5,300 of their employees, which they taught how to do this. They were actually teaching these guys to actually go ahead and sign up clients who had accounts with the bank already. But behind the scenes, they were signing these folks up for credit card accounts and all kinds of different accounts that they literally are getting a commission on. And actually, they were making literally millions upon millions of dollars in actual commission sales on accounts that these good folks did not even know they had. How about that? If this is the first time you're hearing this, I would highly recommend that you take a look at your news, and because this is all over. Bloomberg's talking about this huge. All of the stations are discussing this, and I'll tell you what, it's about time. I want to see a CEO. At this level, a Jamie Dimon from Chase or one of these guys, you start off with one, you put one in jail, and watch the rest of them tumble like dominoes. I mean, seriously. Other countries have done this. I understand Iceland actually put in a whole bunch of their banking criminals actually behind bars. How's that? It sounds like a great idea to me for a bunch of criminal. These guys are mobsters. We call them banksters in my business, and they basically have literally stolen from you. If you are a Wells Fargo account holder, you should be taking a very close look at what has been done to you right now. That bank has lost so much credibility because of this situation, it is not even funny. If they didn't already have credibility issues or integrity issues. All big banking is criminal. Period. End of story. And so anyone that tells me anything other than that is basically lying to themselves. So today, I want to be able to, in fact, actually, this is kind of preempting what I want to talk about today, but I want to talk to you about this. I want to talk to you folks out there that are just fed up with banking, and what are you going to do? What's your feelings? How are you feeling about what's going on? How do you feel about this particular situation where this guy's sitting in front of Congress and actually, just basically passing the buck to his board members? My HR department handles that, and my board will have to handle that particular question. Miss Warren. I mean, look at what we're dealing with, folks. This is absolute insanity. We have a situation in this country, in the entire world, where these bankers have actually literally stolen your money. And the ways that they do it are insidious. What was going on during the time that this has been going on, which was several years past, basically their stock was rising dramatically. In fact, Warren talks about, I think they had an increase around $30 or $40, which actually ends up being literally hundreds of millions of dollars of value of this bank while they're sitting there, fraudulently attaching accounts to good folks who have no clue about this happening to them. And right now, I think they've figured out that there's, at this point, like 1.1 million customers of Wells Fargo Bank at this point that they're aware of directly that have been affected by this particular issue, not to mention all of those that are indirect, which is literally probably tens of millions of people. When you start talking about things that she was discussing and others who were grilling this guy, how about a 1% difference in your credit report because you got nailed for what happened with this extra item that was on your on your account that you weren't even aware of. 1 point could add up to $40,000-$50,000 on a 15-year mortgage, and on a 30, it's just so astronomically ridiculous you wouldn't even want to talk the numbers. It'd be so scary. So, you folks out there that are not aware of this, if you're not, you should have gotten some or be getting some kind of a letter from the bank apologizing to all nth degree about this and attempting to actually make amends. How do you make amends for something that may have been affecting you for literally for years down the line when you did not know you're not culpable in this particular crime by any means whatsoever, but the bankers and these people that were actually involved and actually as salespeople, and that's all they are, actually this comes down from the top, folks. When you talk about a huge corporate entity like Wells Fargo Bank or any other bank, and all of these issues come from the top down, there is no excuse for this type of behavior. This is actually accepted behavior that's actually occurred. There is no way out of this. They have to fire this guy. They have to fire him. And actually, really, in reality, it's not just him, but it's a CFO. It's every single one of those involved in higher echelons in these corporate entities. They're out of here because they have lost so much credibility from this particular process. It's destroyed them. It's actually hurting them very deeply. So I want some of your opinions. I'd like you to call me up and talk to me about this. How does this make you feel right now? Me discussing this, if you were not aware of this, and maybe your schedule is such that you have not heard anything about this until now. And of course, on this particular station, we're allowed to pretty much free speech and actually talk about this, where many of them are actually shutting this story down because all they want to talk about is Hillary and Trump. I mean, come on, guys. This is happening right now, and it's right in your face. I'm constantly harping about the banking industry and what it's doing to you folks out there. If you have large sums of money in these banks, you are taking your financial future into your own hands, period. There is no way that you can actually trust these entities. None whatsoever. They do not have your best interest in mind. No matter how slick that sales guy across the desk is or she or whomever it is. All of them are just there, basically. They're on salary plus commission. So this should start to get you guys riled up. I mean, it certainly has me. I'm all fired up anyway about this, and I have been for years because I talk about this stuff constantly. But this particular one has really got me going because I saw a senator actually take on a situation, being Elizabeth Warren, actually attacking this guy at a level that I'm not aware of, I've seen ever from a hired representative of the people. So I'm really proud of her, and I'm not a Democrat, I'm not a Republican, And, in the past, I don't like this woman, but I got to tell you, I am totally impressed with what she did, because I believe that what she did today will actually make the difference as to the people just saying, we've had it enough. We've had enough of these people. These incomes for these guys are so large. We are most of them are in the range of 100 million plus. Now, can you even comprehend? I mean, it used to be that, bankers made, several $1 million, and that was thought of. But look, we're talking about billionaires now. When you run a corporation that size, if you can't play, in the range of between $500 million to $1 billion plus in compensation, they don't even play in the sandbox. It's not even part of their, world. I mean, who needs this much money? I mean, this is just absolutely ridiculous. What, you can go out and buy other countries? I mean, come on. This is absolutely insane. I mean, I'm all for people making gobs of cash. That's not what my issue is here. That's not even what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is just absolute greed. For greed's sake, it's never enough for these guys. And they can sit there, with their solemn look on their face and say how sorry they are. But what is really happening here? These people are actually sucking the life out of these corporations because these stockholders are allowing this. This is, as long as their stock's going up, they're just elated. They have no problem handing over, $500 million or a couple $1 billion a year to some of these guys. Jamie Dimon's numbers at Chase Bank are even more substantial than that. And one thing I can tell you about Jamie Dimon is he's going to do everything in his power to actually save that bank when everything does hit the fan, folks. He's been stockpiling silver for the last several years, and even came out in a press release about 6 months ago and stated that they've actually been stockpiling massive amounts of hard physical silver. What they do is they buy it out from the U.S. Mint, and they also buy it from the Canadian Royal Canadian Mint. They take those 1 ounce rounds that they purchase, and they actually been melting them into 1,000 ounce bars, and stockpiling these things all over the world, for that matter, here in the U.S. in secret locations. And guess why they're doing this, folks? Now just think about this for just a second. Right now today, because of the fraudulent Fed meeting, and it was a joke, and of course they're not going to raise the interest rates today. So what happened with gold and silver, folks? It has actually skyrocketed today. I believe we've gained 60 cents on gold. We're almost at 20 on silver, or 60 cents on silver. So we're almost at 20 on silver, and we're into over 13.30 on gold. I mean, come on. This is absolute craziness. It's all based on this mentality that, we have to do whatever, and we have to wait on the Feds. The Fed's not doing anything for us. This Federal Reserve is a joke. They can't do anything. It's that bad. They just can't. Yeah, 1992 close on silver today, up 61 cents. And $13.35.90 on gold today, up $20.30. This is all based on the Fed. I mean, isn't that something else? It's absolutely incredible. I love talking about the metals because there's such a great storage locker, basically, of wealth. They're a terrific place to actually put money to store real, true value. This is something that, we talk about a lot on this show. I was also going to discuss numismatic coins and collectability and values and auction values of that. But this has kind of preempted this whole thing. It's such a huge issue. I want folks to realize that this is going to hit you, in your pocketbook. All of these situations, when a bank has this kind of a problem, all of a sudden the stock goes down, and you can watch it. Right now, go to the stock market, put Wells Fargo's code in there, and check it out. They're getting hurt by this. This is really major news. when an organization this large has this much fraud going on inside of them, and they get caught with their pants down, this is a major story. And so, they're just one of all of them. They all do this. Deutsche Bank in Germany is so close to collapsing, folks. They are the largest bank in Europe. They are so close to collapsing, you have no idea. They are 60 trillion in debt on derivatives. Yes, I said trillion. So how do you pay this kind of a debt? Well, the answer is you don't. In fact, the U.S. government just recently actually imposed a fine against Deutsche Bank, $14 billion. Well, Deutsche Bank, basically put their middle finger up back, at you and basically said, we're not paying that bill. Well, what's new? They can't pay any bills. They can't pay any bills right now, guys. So, it's kind of ridiculous that the U.S. government decided to do this, to actually fine them because they're insolvent already, just like all the other major banks. See, what you've got to realize is that banks work on fractionalized banking systems, which means you deposit $1 and they trade out 10 to 100 of your dollar. Yes, you heard that correctly. They create out of thin air 10 to 100 and even more than that, actually, in reality, dollars. So I was just reading some interesting information about this, and just came in today regarding J.P. Morgan Chase. If just 2% of J.P. Morgan's customers want to withdraw their funds, and J.P. Morgan is out of money. Did you hear that? 2% remove their money from J.P. Morgan Chase Bank, and they're done. Now, if that doesn't blow your mind, I don't know what will, but it all has to do with the fractional reserve banking system. This is how it works. They don't have any money in the bank. The only money they do have is when you deposit your funds. And by the way, you're not a depositor anymore. You're actually a partner in the business. And that's why you'll take the deficits when everything hits the fan. Interesting concept, isn't it? Think about that one for just a second. Now, if that doesn't infuriate you, I don't know what will, but it's really the truth. When you sign those agreements, you're basically signing as you become a partner or a co-partner of the corporate entity, i.e. Chase Bank, Wells Fargo, Citicorp, Bank of America, you name it. It doesn't matter who it is. They all work exactly the same way. America, wake up. Wake up. You are never going to get any value of that money out. We all use banking accounts basically to transfer from here to there, and that's, we use the system. We're all in it. Every time we swipe that card, we're in it. We're saying, okay, we're both accepting this as a transactional way to move, quote, money, unquote. But is it the best way? Well, it's not proving the best way of recent. But when you have serious financial shocks, bank runs do occur. So it would seem likely that they would far surpass the 2% threshold that I just talked about. And that's exactly right. So when something does happen, something serious, when there is a crash or people have a feeling that there's a crash coming, you can imagine that if all it takes is 2% of the clientele of a major bank to remove funds to implode a bank, it ain't going to take much of your work out there, folks, to be done. Yeah, the question is right now, what do we do? How do we fix this situation so that we can still live? We can still go to the gas station and actually swipe our card and be able to accomplish what we need to do and get on our way. One of the things about this world is that we've created a situation where there's huge convenience in all of these processes that, I got to say, I love it. If I can go to the gas station, swipe my card and get the hell out of there and faster than, lightning, rather than having to wait on somebody like we do in Oregon. You know exactly what I'm saying if you've ever lived in Oregon, how irritating that is. But the whole process of how we live our lives has been set up so that it's really all about convenience. And so in most cases, when we're doing banking, we agree to these ridiculous charges or the fact that actually we're not getting any interest on our money, and most people are willing to accept that just for the ability to transact these transactions on a regular, easy, and relaxed basis. I fall into this same category too, folks. I'm dealing with it just like you are. We're all the same in this thing, and I've had people call up and we're all in the same boat. Yeah, it's true, but we're just in a different boat than the elites. Ours is like the Titanic, and they're on one that never goes down. So, it's really an amazing situation to be in right now. And I highly recommend you good folks actually start doing more research on what's going on in your world. So if this kind of thing happened to and JP Morgan would have to sell some of their stocks, and bank runs do occur. If that happens, JP Morgan would have to sell some of its assets in order to raise cash. The problem with this is that in a financial shock, the sale of assets does not happen in an orderly way, and it can't. What do they have assets in? Well, most of these banks have actually gotten themselves involved in other corporations that are also struggling in this economy. So it's another thing to look at. You're listening to Greg Neal from the Gold Ore Store in St. George, Utah, 435-703-9119. We're 7 North Main Street. Our goldorestore.com. That's GOLDORE store, STORE at gmail.com if you want to email me. But yeah, we're here. We're here to assist. We're getting more and more folks every moment coming into our store and discussing, how they're feeling about what's going on. I had several couples come in the store today discussing, these circumstances and this banking thing. I'm telling you, folks, there isn't much time left. There really isn't. I mean, all of this coming down as it is right now, there's nothing that happens in government or banking, they're both in together, that isn't planned. So what I'm suggesting to you is do something. If it means having a conversation with any one of us, do that if you feel inspired. My mantra is just get out there. If you're not going to buy, gold and silver from me, go somewhere else and buy gold and silver. It is a hedge against a declining economy. It is a way for you and for banks and huge corporate entities to actually, and governments, by the way, a huge way to actually store wealth. If it's good enough for them, it's good enough for you and me. And I'm telling you, we don't have much more time. The prices are going to go up, and they're going to continue to go up. And the time for whining about all of this is over. It's time to engage, folks. I am so grateful for the opportunity to have this show and to be able to discuss these types of things with you. It's important. I hold it as very valued, and I hope you do too. Thank you so much for your time. And you folks have a great day, and we'll be back here soon. You'll see us on Mondays at 1 o'clock on The Kate Daly Show.
You've been listening to Silver Linings with Greg Neal, physical gold and silver expert and wholesale supplier. Join us again soon for another edition of Silver Linings here on Fox News Radio KZNU.